Where you feel cheated is that you know those Americans died over there, died for nothing. I remember as a kid sitting around listening to my uncles, my father, talking about their experiences in the Second World War. That there was that feeling of patriotism, that part of my generation, especially if you were a male, you wanted to go into the service. You wanted to see your war. You wanted to prove yourself. Was I a coward? Could I have done what my father had done? I totally believed in the American dream. I believed that my country was perfect, that it was our job to go over and to defend other people. Our American dream was to go into the service to better ourselves. I think for me, Vietnam was the shattering of the American dream. And when any dream is shattered, I think you have a sense of being cheated. The reality of war is that once you get shot, you don't get up as you do in the movies and make another movie. I remember the first guy I ever treated was an 18, 19-year-old Marine, and he had stepped in a landmine. And I ran up to him and he said, "Doc, Doc, I'm going to live, ain't I?" And I remember him dying, and I remember me crying, and I remember me crying at the next one, and I remember me crying at the next one, till I got to a point where for me to cry, for me to feel anymore, would have meant my own survival. You have kids screaming for their moms as they're dying. That's the reality of war. Where you have people that are maimed for life, that are psychologically damaged for life, that's the reality of war. What do you call crazy? It's crazy to be in war. I think Vietnam produced more insanity for the veterans once they came home than actually produced in Vietnam itself. I know over the years of my counseling people, I know at least 10 guys that have committed suicide. One of them pulled a gun out in front of me and said, "Thanks, Doc, I know you tried," and blew his brains out in front of me. I know other guys that OD'd morphine or on heroin since they came home because they couldn't handle it. That's insanity. When you go through an experience that it devastates you so much that you will take your own life because you feel nothing matters anymore or you can't help yourself anymore. What's more insane is the way that that organization, the Veterans Administration, is supposed to treat these veterans and doesn't. Even though we fought just as hard, we bled just as much. We were not accepted by the older generation. We were not accepted by our own peer group. That causes insanity. And even to today, 21 years later, that I'm still fighting my war. There hasn't been a day since I came back from Vietnam that at least I haven't thought about it. And I don't want to be a Vietnam veteran for the rest of my life. I feel that the government did not care about the American soldiers over there, that we were cannon fodder, that we were used, and when we were used up, new ones would come over to take our place. It was like an assembly line production, assembly line of death. My fear again is that that Vietnam experience will be used to create another one, to create another young generation of men to go over, to kill, and be killed for nothing. I feel the world is too sophisticated today to have war. I wish there were a way that we could settle our differences without war. I feel that we've got to somehow learn that you can't send whole generations of young men and raise whole generations of young men to go over and fight for a god or for a flag, that it's ridiculous and it's stupid. And I feel that people need to learn from war that it doesn't need to happen again, that somehow we've got to stop it before it becomes too late.